Hello again. I'm Chris Lee of Southeastern 14. We are continuing our off-season series of just taking a look around the SEC and what is going on at other places. When we do that for Texas A&M, we go to my friend Olin Buchanan of TexAgs.com. Olin, thanks for joining us today. Hope you're well.
Anytime, Chris.
This is brought to you by BetOnline. It's playoff time. The road to Vegas goes through San Francisco and Baltimore. BetOnline is your number one source for playoff football odds, stats, trends, and lines with everything from point spreads to hundreds of player performance props. Head to BetOnline today. Stay updated on all the action. BetOnline. The game starts here. Okay, Olin, what a wild, 6 months, 4 months, wherever you want to draw that. I mean, really, it's been wild since probably the end of 2022 when Jimbo Fisher took that vaunted recruiting class, did nothing with it, and then followed it up with a very mediocre campaign this year. What if your last, 12, 18 months been on the job as you tried to calculate buyouts and NIL budgets and all the fun things that went with Texas A&M football?
Well, there's been so much to write about, speculation, some facts or some things that were thought to be facts turned out not to be. And there's been some very good reporting nationally, some that's just not right. All kinds of things. Anytime you've been through it, anytime you have a coaching search, that's always keeps you busy and always has a lot of people respond. And then when there's a coaching change, you have people within the program that are now more willing to talk and they tell you things, but you always have to ask yourself now, how much of this is 100% accurate? How much of it's 50% accurate? Is somebody got an axe to grind? So there's never a shortage of stories and material to work with, but you got to be really careful about which ones that you want to put out there as fact until you can get multiple sources to confirm it.
Well, look, there were some big numbers thrown out there with buyouts and NIL budgets and all kinds of stuff. What was fact and what was fiction with all that?
Well, the fact is they owed Jimbo Fisher like $77 million. It didn't all have to be paid at once. They owed him something like $7 or maybe it's $11 million. It's been a while now. Maybe it's 11.2 or 7.2. I can't remember which one of them was within like 30 days of him, being fired. And then another, I guess it was 7.5, and then another 7.5 within 6 months. And then it's going to be, he's going to be paid that every year for the next, 7 years. Or until it gets to be 77 million. So it was a gamble on A&M's part. I thought that when they brought in Buzz, it made sense. Hey, we're going to go all in. What I never understood was why you felt the need to, 3 years into a 10-year guarantee at $7.5 million. Why did you feel the need to extend it? Now, I get it. What happened then, and Ross Bjork, who is no longer the athletic director here, he's now at Ohio State. And I get it, look at it from his perspective. He said, hey, look, I have a coach who just went 9-1, and they finished fourth in the country, and LSU's calling to try to get him to go over there. So at that time, Jimbo's popularity was at a peak level here. And if you're the athletic director and he leaves and you didn't do everything you could to keep him, does that get you fired? Yeah. Well, but it seems to me, again, $7.5 million, and there's still 7 years of guaranteed. It would have seemed to me the right move was say, hey, we'll give you a bonus for the success here. And we're building everything you've asked for. So if building everything you asked for and say $1.5 million bonus and a $7.5 million contract guaranteed for 7 years isn't enough to keep you, well then, hey, best of luck wherever you're going. but it's easy to say that now, if you, and especially if you weren't in Ross's position. But so yeah, and so when they hired Mike Elko, they made gave him a contract that made a lot more sense. He's going to make like $7 million a year, and I think you want to be a place where you're known for paying your coach really well. But there's a lot of incentives in his deal, and if he wins a national championship, he could make $11 million in a year. Well, a national championship coach shouldn't make $11 million when you can see what other guys are making. But A&M finally said, hey, we're going to pay you like a national championship winning coach if you win a national championship, not because you did it somewhere else. And that was a good move toward, a little more fiscal responsibility. Now, A&M has a lot of money, so they don't always have to be fiscally responsible, but it was a deal that made a lot more sense, obviously.
Yeah, I think that does too. I'm with you there. How do we get in a world where people are bidding against themselves to keep people like you and I?
I wish I could, TexAgs say, hey, we'll buy you lunch, but
right.
but don't go anywhere too good.
Well, can Mike Elko take A&M to good places? That's an interesting thing, because we saw that the Stoops dynamic of the search, that was pretty fascinating how that played out over a weekend. Where did he fall in their pecking order choices? What's the upside for him?
For Mike, I think was look, everybody got a little bit infatuated with Kalen DeBoer when, and why not? And then he said, look, I'm staying at Washington, so I got it. But I think had there never been an infatuation with him at all, I think for the vast majority, and I'm talking about from the everyday fan to the Board of Regents, Mike Elko was the pick, the guy they liked. And you saw that when, Ross went out and it felt like as athletic director, he was in a position to make to offer a job, and offered it to Mark Stoops. And then you saw the immediate reaction to that was, no, if you're going to go that direction, why would you run off a coach who struggles offensively to bring in a coach who has struggled offensively?
Yeah.
So, plus, Mike, everybody loved what he did here as defensive coordinator for 3 years. It was excellent. He wasn't infallible, but he did a great job here. And then to go to Duke, and I believe they won 9 games his first year at Duke, and they probably would have done it this year had his quarterback not gotten hurt. They were dang close to beating Notre Dame, and then their quarterback got hurt. And I think they finally lost that game on the last play or close to it, right, in the last minute. So he did some really good things at Duke, and historically, if you can win at Duke, you can win at a lot of places. In the last 50 years, and Chris, you might be able to tell me I'm right or wrong on this, but the last 50 years, it seems like the only coaches that have been successful at Duke are Mike Elko, David Cutcliffe, and Steve Spurrier.
Yeah, that's the list. I mean, Duke was one of the worst for football till Spurrier took it to a new level. Then he was gone. Duke went kind of back to what it was. Cutcliffe got him respectability, and then Elko took a situation, I think, seemed to flip it a lot quicker. I don't know that anybody had any expectations for Duke a couple of years ago, and they were right there beating good teams for 2 years.
Yeah. So you look at a guy that everybody here was liked, and then you see him, do pretty well at a place like Duke that's not known for having a great football program. And you say, hey, we like you here. You want to come here. You're willing to take a contract that makes more sense. Look, he's not going to go broke. I mean, $7 million a year is a heck of a deal. But, if you win big, you're going to get paid like you should, like a national championship coach. And, he had his kids graduated high school here a couple of years ago. I think he might still have a kid in school. He liked it here. So it was just a good fit. Plus, since he's been here, we may have talked about this before. Since he's been here, who knows what's going to happen come football season when they open the season August 31st against Notre Dame. But every step he's made, I think it's been a positive one, from rebuilding strained relationships with the Texas High School Coaches Association, and they were very strained, to making good decisions on dismissals from the coaching staff and additions, what we think are good additions to the coaching staff, to getting very active in the transfer portal to build depth. And then, any coach coming over in December is going to have some trouble with the recruiting class. I mean, Jimbo recruited great here, but his first recruiting class here was ranked 17th in the country. But they have a chance to, and they're kind of expected to sign a kid that's, I think, like the number of top 15 prospect in the country on Wednesday. And if he does that, I think that'll close out what have been a very positive, or as positive as a high school recruiting class as you can get. So he brought in good coaches. Everybody's excited about Tommy Moffitt, the strength and conditioning coach, who was at LSU as strength and conditioning coach for national championships under Saban, Orgeron, and Miles. And then when Brian Kelly came down, he had his guy from Notre Dame. So he fired Tommy Moffitt, and Moffitt just went into private business. And he was telling us, we had him on earlier this week, and he was saying that when Mike got the job at A&M and he saw that the strength and conditioning coach at Duke didn't follow him, Moffitt got on the phone and he said he was the one that was pursuing the job. It was kind of like if Bobby Flay calls you up and says, "Hey, I want to cook you dinner." You go, "Oh, really? Yeah, come on." So I think kind of situation. So they love. Everybody's excited about Colin Klein being offensive coordinator. He did some good things at Kansas State. So, we never know until the season actually gets here. But it appears that all the steps he's taken since he's got here are positive ones.